Hi, I want to welcome you to the Whole Life Living Show, a whole life living show that explores and spotlights the big questions in life, how to live a holistic and healthy life at your highest potential. Get happy, love more, and have a great life. That's what the Whole Life Living Show is about. It promotes simple conversations that expand, shift, and vibrate our lives higher with life mastery living principles we can apply to upgrade our lives in order to live the life we were born to live, with internationally known guests that share simple strategies in entrepreneurship principles, personal development, positive thinking, millionaire mentors, billionaire icons, holistic health and wellness, organic and gluten-free cuisine, and happy relationships with spirituality and metaphysical principles. At Whole Life Living, each guest reveals their secret ingredients to a healthy, happier, more loving conscious mindset that is empowered worldwide. Today, I want to introduce my guest, who is Flora Schully. Did I pronounce that right? Schully? Schully. Flora Schully. I like it. She is the creator of Transcendent Healing Body Mind Clearings and co-founder of Conscious Connecting for Couples and Singles. She is a best-selling author of Succeeding Through Doubt, Fear, and Crisis. And her newest publication, and our subject of conversation today, Awakening Through Infidelity. Using every experience in your life to grow and awaken, especially not only the most painful ones, becoming more and more sensitive so that trauma is no longer needed to grow and awaken, tolerating less, asking for more with greater and greater clarity and nuance, looking for places with discomfort in relationship or confusion or irritations as signs of something in the way of awaken versus pain and betrayal. Welcome, Flora. I'm glad to have you today.
Thanks for having me.
So let's get started and really begin to share with us, how did the book get started? Where did it come from? Was it an experience that you had in your own life?
Yes, the latest book was, it's entitled Awakening Through Infidelity.
Okay.
And I've always had, not always, since being on the path, I've had the commitment to use whatever happens to grow. Physical challenges, emotional challenges, relationship challenges, career change, right? Like life presents us these things that let us shrink back or open. So I've had this ongoing commitment to use whatever happens to grow. And that's a lot of the conscious connecting work. And then life brought me yet another experience that I found really opened my heart in a way that I wouldn't have anticipated. And for sure, I wouldn't have asked for that experience in order to unleash, to crack open.
So did you experience, when you say infidelity, did you experience, a relationship issue where you were faced with somebody not, somebody cheating on you or not living up to that original commitment?
Well, in the past, I've had that experience, cheating, boyfriend, whatever. This last one was particularly painful because it didn't make sense to me. It was my husband of many years, and right when we thought he might be having hormonal challenges and hitting 40, and what we discovered instead was that there was a pretty extensive and covert compulsive porn and acting out with women, and like there was a whole host of hidden behaviors that I couldn't have known about that were causing it. And it didn't make sense because at the time we had an agreement that whatever either one of us desired, that we would just bring it to the relationship. It wasn't an open marriage, but it said if either one of us desired someone emotionally or physically or sexually, that we would at least be honest with that, talk it through, give each other a say about how we'd prefer let it go. And so we were really experimenting with permissiveness so that we didn't need to hide or betray or live an either or life. And so it was a little bit it was a lot shocking to me, and it was very, very painful. And, as we worked through it, I started to see his side, and that it had become compulsive for him, like that he could no longer not act in certain ways. And we finally ended up treating it like an addiction on his part. Not to say that every compulsive behavior, but I mean, you could label anything compulsive that you need to do as addiction. It didn't start that way years ago, but I just didn't know what living with covertness and deceit in the energy field of my house felt like. I just didn't know it. And I would think I was going crazy sometimes and do more work on myself. And my endocrine system started going off, and I had adrenal fatigue develop, and then thyroid medicine. And there was, I kept losing my center, and I didn't know why. And I'm an energy healer, so this made me question myself and the source of my certainty in life over and over again. And in the book, it starts with when I found emails to prostitutes in his computer.
Oh, wow.
What the next 5 hours were like for me, and how painful they were, and how my body just shook. And I had this sense of the entire reality that we had collapsing. And I kept hearing, I kept thinking to myself, my heart's breaking, my heart's breaking, my heart's breaking. Like, this makes no sense. And I couldn't believe it almost. At the time, we were co-leading programs, Conscious Connecting for couples and singles. And my husband was really teaching, like bringing anything you have to the relationship and trusting it. And I was like, this is like living with someone who is not who I know them to be, which I've now found out is men and women's experience. I'm not alone in that. When people feel betrayed, when they find out something like, it's like, this is not who I thought I was with. That's the extra trauma, is that you start to question your own sanity and your own knowingness, like your own filters. And that, so I was saying, my heart's breaking, my heart's breaking. I don't know what's real anymore. And how am I ever going to trust myself after this, much less another? And after 5 hours of shaking, I started to get into that meditative place where I could hear the first glimmer of, no, sweetheart, your heart's breaking open if you'll allow it to. And I think that's due to a lot of the work I was already doing, that we were doing, that says use whatever's happening to grow, no matter what it is, no matter what it is. Don't use it as an excuse to shrink and cower from fear of further pain. And it was certainly a process. Like in the first year, I think I was in shock, and still, like in the first healing of the trauma of the shock, it didn't settle down for at least a year, but at least a commitment that my heart will break open if I'll allow it to, and not use this to guard and to be smaller and to be hardened to life and more protected.
Yeah, I could see that. Now, let's step back for a second. What about, I mean, you said you were already an energy healer when this experience showed up for you. And, I'm a believer that every experience that shows up is a manifestation of, the vibration that you're putting out, the energy that you're putting out. And a lot of it is unconscious, subjective, past events or past feelings that are really surfacing to be healed. And so for everyday people who aren't yet at this awareness of energy and why these particular experiences show up, what could you say about that experience that could help someone who is not yet at that understanding of energy and why these particular things come up?
That's a great question.
What could you share with them?
Well, there's two different approaches that I hear to answer your question. The first is for energy workers. Because that's, you can say, well, you would think, if anyone, I should have been aware of my center, what was happening. Like, what do you do as an energy, like, how does an energy worker, what was the vibration, the lesson in it for me? And then what can people do who may not have, because I had to crawl out of this fog in my home. And I ended up supporting my husband, who made the decision that he wanted to have a say in life too. which is a beautiful thing too. It wasn't always beautiful. There were a lot of ugly moments in there, but I made that decision too. So, the first thing is like, what's happening? And getting present, like what's happening in my body, in my breathing, in my home, and in my relationship. Being willing to tell the truth about it. And that's whether you have experience with energy or you don't have experience with this kind of somatic releasing practices. It's just getting present and telling the truth. And that was one of the things I saw, is that I had a tendency even to use energy work to get off it, to change my thoughts, to get back into a good feeling place. I would come from sessions. We have a guest house on our property where I work with individuals and couples, and I do this deep work, and it's so beautiful. And then I would walk across the courtyard, and I would come back to my home, and the change would be almost it would be harsh on my body, right? The change of that. So I started putting a chair so that I could recenter myself, to prepare my emotions and my intellect and my energy field for the shift in what the house was going to feel like compared to what my healing space felt like. So I had these abilities to almost, you could say I was tolerating more and more insanity, because I would say it's not fair to expect my children. I had a teenager who's being a teenager, and I had a toddler at the time who's being a toddler. And it's important for them to be able to say no. Like, it's not their fault. My husband's just being my husband. My kids are just being my kids. And that it's a grief for me to come in is my problem. So I would work harder and harder to be able to be at peace with whatever energy was already in my home, which is a beautiful, masterful state. It just ended up enabling, ultimately, that there was some energy that just felt horrible and just wasn't. I would say sometimes I would hire relationship coaches, marriage counseling, hey, we're not living our work all the time. I feel betrayed. I would say that I feel like there's a knife going into my third chakra, and I feel betrayal energy. And I look around, and it's just, he hasn't done the dishes when he said he would, and nobody gets divorced over that. I'm a bigger person than that. But I was using my awareness to stay positive, like positive affirmations, wanting to stay in a good feeling place. My masterful ability to shift, it ultimately was enabling, because I wasn't dropping down and saying, wait, I'm saying I feel betrayal energy, and I can't find evidence for it. And this is common now, because in the last 2 years I've been working with a lot of couples and singles, and for men, even those that didn't have any experience with energy, I'm connecting their heart to their loins. It's a very common thing, especially if there's a lot of porn use, to disconnect one's heart from one's loins. Women can do it, but men too. So doing that work, but for men connecting their heart to their loins, that's good for anybody. And then for women also, to get what's really happening in my body and in the home, separate from my judgments, my assessments, or my ability to claim positive affirmations. And so if you're not an energy worker, that's an easier place to start in some ways, because you can say something doesn't feel good. I'm in home and I'm jittery. And all of them, not everybody that I work with, by the way, like, deepening the love and stuff like that has betrayal. But there's definitely a porn epidemic. There's some issues around that, and it's pretty common. But even if you don't have that, there's something about being willing to tell the truth about how it doesn't feel good, even when I don't have evidence. Even those that have had betrayal or cheating, either way, male or female, always there's some kind of, they swore there wasn't, or you can't find evidence for it, and you ask your partner, and your partner has a vested interest in not being found out. Even on a non-selfish level, they don't want to hurt you. So there's all these reasons, and so you feel something, but like there's no evidence, or they tell you that you're crazy, or they tell you that it's not true, and you want to trust them, and you want your life to be and so you're looking, and you're not sure what's happening. The first step, whether you have some kind of awareness on a energetic path or not, is being willing to know the truth. And sometimes you need a guide. You need someone to help you, like, sort through the insanity or all the emotions. There's tons of like emotions, especially for women in a women's body, your emotions and feeling distrust does not mean he's cheating. It doesn't.
Let me ask you a question about historical things. Do you think that when we come into the body, we have imprinting, or what we would call historical, subjective experiences that are related to our parents around this particular topic, whether it be low self-esteem or abuse, or down to what we're experiencing right now with relationship issues and trust?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The primary imprint is the parent and the relationship imprint. So one of the first things I do with couples that want to reset their relationship space, or individuals that want to reset their body space, I ask, what was it like? Not mental assessment, was there abuse or not abuse? That's a psychological approach. It brings some clarity. It's just not what I do. On an energetic level, we say, what did it feel like in your home growing up? Because regardless of what you know to be intellectually valid, I mean, I'm bringing my left brain, right? I still got the lawyer logic here. We're sorting through stuff and I can make the logical connections, but it's completely right-brained. It's very emotional and it's unconscious. And it says, what did it feel like in my home growing up? And until I do work within myself, I'm going to keep that imprint going.
Right.
If my nervous system was afraid a lot in my home of origin, I'm going to create that, even though it looks like different experiences. It's the same nervous system reaction. It's the same cellular memory, if you will, which you know about, which is why you asked the question.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just even getting into what you were sharing in the beginning about, it being a porno academic and that sort of thing. I mean, I too experienced that in two of my relationships, in where they just it started in one relationship and I went into the whole comparison thing. Am I good enough? Why can't, am I not good enough that this person needs to go out and, view this sort of thing to, feel whole, or, to obviously connect with their loins, like you said. And then when it showed up again in another relationship, by that time I was aware of my feelings and, how did it feel? And it didn't feel good. It didn't feel supportive. It didn't feel good. I started to reconnect with everything that I felt, was a relationship of communication and wholeness and growth and love. And, I started to connect more with the feelings of what I wanted in a relationship rather than what I didn't want.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Really beautiful. I mean, what you're really pointing to is what I think of as an opportunity. It's so easy to just say, and sometimes you need to go through a few relationships till you can even see a pattern for yourself. So it's never wrong to run, especially if there's no opening, if there's no desire for growth and healing. But there is this opportunity to say, what's my response that I'm bringing? Because I promise anyone watching this, if you change your response, they either change or they run screaming from the relationship. You don't have to think. I mean, a lot of times what brings people to me is this weight of, should I stay or should I go? Should I give up on the relationship? I don't want to waste more time if it's not going to be something fulfilling. So, and I say, forget stay or go. What's within you? Like, what's the blind spot? Are you spinning things positively? Are you not able to be in your body so you can feel what's happening? Like, what's your obstacles to being present with your heart open and not tolerating anything around you, right? Like not putting up with, not rationalizing it, like finding new responses within yourself. And then there's this invitation for your partner, because my belief is that nobody willfully chooses shame and disconnection.
No.
No one. And explaining, well, he can't help it or she can't help it because of their childhood. Well, yes, they can't help the imprint that they have. But are we willing to hold out a helping hand and say, I'm here with you if you want to beat this. I'm here with you if you want to beat this. If this is how you want to live, I don't. But I will love you to the end of time. I care about you. and here's what I need in my life. And usually with a relationship that has some kind of enough either longevity or enough merging, right? Like there's you, there's the other person, and then there's this entity called like the relationship unit. And if there's been enough work done, I'm really grateful for the work that my husband and I did before we had this issue come up. Mm-hmm. Really, I credit it with a lot of the choices, but it's like we individually have to be more hungry to grow than we are to stay comfortable and justified.
Mm-hmm.
But if I heal a little, then I invite you, and then you make some ground. Hopefully then you show me where my next blind spot is, and we do this. And ultimately, like, we're using relationship to ascend together, 2 by 2 ascending rather than individuals ascending.
Wouldn't that be great if that was where everyone was at right now? And, because, from another perspective, I love what you shared, because literally I went the opposite direction first, not to where I was angry or resentful or wanting to browbeat him or, beat him up, anything like that whatsoever. What I did is I disconnected and allowed myself to grow, allowed myself to step into my wholeness. Initially, I had approached that direction as you're speaking to. But as you said too, when you're at a certain level of consciousness and the other person is not willing to grow at that level with you, they're going to fall away no matter what, because it's the law. And so what I did is I really started to look at, what felt good for me, based on who I was as an individual. What are the things about me that I liked and I loved? And what was it about me that made my heart sing and fulfilled me? And the more that I did that, then the other person looked, at moments was jealous and would verbalize the jealousy and would say to himself or say to me, that he didn't like who I was becoming. And I think it had a lot to do with, because he thought he was losing me. And, but anyway, to make a long story short.
Maybe that's why. I wouldn't attribute that that's all that was going on there.
Yeah. But
keep going. You don't know that it's that he was afraid of losing you, or even that that's why.
Yeah, but the beauty of it is the more that I connected with, what type of relationship I wanted and the qualities that I wanted in a relationship, and the more I connected with, all the attributes of what I call, my higher self, the more I did that, and I allowed the other person to heal at their level. What ended up happening is they had a really severe addiction on not only to pornoism, but a variety of other substances. And when I allowed them to go on with their life, what happened is this particular person had a bottom. And it was that bottom in which they made the choice to go and seek help, to really let go of, all those resentments and those analyzing and rationalizing and scrutinizing and beating up of themselves, But But here's the beauty of the experience. This is a long story, but the really true beauty of the experience is that they went on and made the decisions to do what you're talking about. And as a result of it, we have children together. So we developed a friendship. And it was from that friendship and the acknowledging and the coming together in the way that you spoke about with your husband and yourself that brought us back together a year later. After a finalization, after a divorce, all of it. And brought us back together, unifying with the same commitment about what we wanted out of life, and what we wanted out of the relationship, and how we saw ourselves in this relationship as far as what was fulfilling us and that sort of thing. So it was listening to you, I'm thinking, wow, this is exactly what I experienced, but by connecting with me.
Yes, and with your higher power, which is what you said. Right?
Yes.
Which is still connecting with you, with your own breath, with your own tension in your body, with your essence and the intuitive wisdom that will guide you if you let it. Yeah, I like what you're saying. Like, it's like you increase your vibration. They either increase with you or they leave. And your point is, and they may then increase their vibration and come back. If they don't, sure as hell somebody else will, because you're this beautiful goddess that keeps evolving. And then have that beautiful essence too, if they connect with it. This isn't just female, just because we happen to be talking. But yeah, no, I love that. I mean, as you change, people around you change. I mean, I guess that's one of the core messages of the book. And I have two, they slightly different messages, but one's just a Kindle single. It's very short, but very powerful. It's called Awakening Thru Infidelity. And it's just a Kindle download. Another one is part of a best-selling book on Amazon with, it's called Succeeding Through Doubt, Fear, and Crisis. And mine is just a chapter in that. And that was published the year before the other one was. So I evolved even more. So the latest off the presses is this Awakening Through Infidelity. And the core message in either one, even though I went a little further in the latest one, is that what if you don't have to say, leave, get out, break up with them? What if you really, if you make this decision to be with yourself, like you said, it's almost irrelevant. Like the choice I made, I didn't just stay by his side like a loyal dog, by the way. We had a lot of that hitting bottom and me pulling away, or him in our year, right? Like it's never like, oh, we'll just grow together. Like when there's been a ton of betrayal. So you can do what you did and what I did. You could do it. It's almost like they're irrelevant to your equation. Right. So people say, nobody should put up with this. I don't respect myself if I keep it here. Or friends tell me stay. Friends tell me get rid of them. But we have a kid and money and all this stuff. And so I say, what if they become irrelevant to your process? And irrelevant's kind of harsh, but really, what if your priority, like you said, Sherry, is yourself, connecting to the intuitive wisdom and guidance within you and around you that will guide you if you let it, like connecting to yourself and becoming the best person, the best vibration you could say, but becoming more and more whole within yourself. And then who stays or who goes, it doesn't matter. And people are like, well, I need to make a decision about this person. I'm like, what if you don't? What if you start saying different things to them? And you start asking and making different clear requests, and you start treating them differently. And I've had people say, oh, but they'll never let me do that, or they'll never admit to that, or they'll never agree to that. I'm like, how do you know? And who cares? Like, that's all about them. Like, that's the biggest shift that you just spoke to. People say, oh, I got to break up with them so I can find inner peace, so I can find myself. And I'm not saying at all that a breakup is wrong. And as you're pointing to, it's never a complete forever breakup. Like there's always another chance. I'm just saying, what if you focus on yourself, bringing new things, asking for new things, bringing new responses, and then they get to decide who they're going to be with what you're now bringing and requiring. Like, you don't know who they're going to be because you don't know who you are. And as you evolve, oh my God, I can't believe how amazing I am. Then all of a sudden you're like, wow, look, they're making the choice to show up here and now they're becoming my teacher. Like my husband helped me after he got really committed to having a say in what his body did and didn't do, and what his mental thoughts did and didn't do, and what his lust did and didn't do. He helped me overcome the sneaking the cookies thing at night. Like it was one of those places that like if the TV's on and it's nighttime, which are two things I'm not committed, like he helped me learn because he had to dig so deep. He started helping me in the places that I felt helpless over my own body's, whatever it is, right? Like over the reactions and the habits in the body. And that's a silly little example, but I was feeling kind of powerless about that. Like we better not have cookies in the house because if I'm feeling emotional and there's TV on and it's after a certain hour, I had no, I said to him, I see what you're dealing with. Can you help me? And it was one of these, then he could, and then when I got power over that, I could see where there's the next level for him and we supported each other, but it was while we were each focusing on our own, you could say, recovery. And
Oh,
so
I love that. I love that you said that, because that's literally what happened. Is he actually went through recovery, became a speaker through recovery and a coach, through recovery. I'm over here on the other side, coaching the way you and I do. And what ended up happening is I mean, obviously the exact same thing that you're discussing right here, the exact same thing. So what a beautiful, what you brought forth in this conversation is pretty cool.
and even one step further, which is the latest one, right? Like the what I have finally evolved to is like, what if, I don't know, you use them?
Mm-hmm.
What if you can use the person that you're in relationship now and the relationship you currently have, what if you could use it to grow?
Right.
Like, what if it's really there that the universe or God or however you think about it, or even your own higher self,
Mm-hmm.
like that you knew, what if there's a lesson past learning how to throw another person out of your life?
Right.
Like protecting yourself, right?
Yeah.
Physically
Yeah.
protecting yourself, creating the boundaries that whatever, but what if you use them to grow? And I've had people say to me, that sounds mean. I'm like, well, it sounds more loving to me than divorcing them and then talking shit about them.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I heard I was selfish.
Using them to grow and not leaving that relationship till they're irrelevant what they do or don't do. I mean, It sounds like I'm saying it in a shocking way.
No, I like that.
But there's something past just getting through it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just being sober-minded. Mm-hmm. And your experience is such a beautiful thing. You're talking, and I'm getting the electricity in my body that I think of like when truth's being spoken. That's how it occurs in my body. Mm-hmm. And it lights me up, and I see a ton of people liking it and stuff like that. And that we came to the same place taking two different actions, but it was with the same commitment that we shift, that we change, that we evolve, and that we grow. And whoever happens to stay in our life, girlfriends, clients, spouses, they get the benefit of our self-awareness, right?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I want to comment on a couple of comments that are going on in the forum here as we're speaking. We have a comment saying, I'm working at the moment, opening my heart and getting clarity with my emotions. Mel has also said, beautiful, Flora. So going on based on the conversations. Mel also said, it's amazing how you can change yourself and your partner recognizes the change and learns a skill to take on his life change too. Then you reunite as one again. Love that.
Thanks, Mel. That's beautiful. Totally.
Oh, I love it too. Now, let's break down your book for a second. So in knowing this, okay, we've gotten to this stage and, we're really open to really connecting with ourselves, but also giving ourselves the awareness that, there's so many different steps we can, come to in the moment in ourselves. Break down your book for us, and what are we going to really get out of it? I mean, what is it? What steps did you bring forth in this book to really connect with everyone?
Yeah, so the Succeeding Through Doubt, Fear, and Crisis book is incredible. It has 20-something chapters, each one having like a really hard life lesson so you don't feel alone in it. Like one chapter's on the financial stress of getting through bankruptcy, another one on losing somebody like that you love, like unexpectedly with shock, right? Another one with death and dealing with that, or cancer and challenges. And it's people who have really succeeded through not just doubt, not just fear, but legitimate crisis, right? Like crisis in your life. You find out that you're not living what you thought you were living. There's a shock to the body. You could be the most positive, spiritually evolved person, but in fact, that's what it is, to let that grief move through you emotionally and physically and mentally and spiritually, and just to find a way to navigate through that. So the people in this book are just absolutely incredible. And I'm just thinking I should have had one here so I could show it to you. Hiram Smith is one of the contributors, and he was partnered with Stephen Covey, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and the Franklin Covey, what do you call it?
Yes.
he's one of the contributing authors, and it's awesome. And then Sandra Yancey is another contributing author. In fact, she's the main editor.
Sandra.
Yeah, you know her, right? So she's like really big in women's marketing, but like she's overcome an amazing amount and really expanded in life. So those are two of the co-authors with me. It's already a bestseller on Amazon, and I put a special for people that join us today. I guess if they watch it after too, like that. Free shipping and just $15. Usually it's like $18.95 plus shipping and stuff like that. So people just have to do a radio show. I don't know if there's a click to something like that, but thank you, honey. My husband heard and he.
Oh, yay! I love it. Thank you.
Marketing's my weakest link, you know, like that's. But it's like there's me and Sandra Yancey and Hiram Smith pictures, and it says succeeding through doubt, fear, and crisis, and we're just doing a discounted price of even $15, and we'll eat the shipping, and just like want to get the message out and cover the printing costs. Or they can just download it from Kindle books online. They don't have a Kindle version of that, but my chapter does. It's just my name, Flora Shuley, and Awakening Through Infidelity. But the steps in the book talk about where I had to learn where I was trying to either spin things positive, or I was trying to help my husband. Honey, can you say no to me? Instead of saying, yes, I'll do the dishes, and then no, don't do them. I'd rather you just tell me no. I was like, you know, he's really soft, and he likes, and he's sensitive, and he's sweet, and he doesn't like to disappoint. But if he never says no, he can't mean yes. Mm-hmm. But over the years, I was trying to help him grow more confident, to hold his own with me and to hold his own in life. And I was, so that's like, I had to learn that I couldn't help. I mean, that doesn't mean don't, but it means like, is it being contributed to? And am I over there trying to make something happen because it doesn't feel good here? Where a lot of our recovery is me just saying, this doesn't feel good. I don't know why. I'm going to sleep in a bedroom where I feel peace because I need to rest myself. And it speaks nothing about that you've done something that you shouldn't have. I'm not taking your inventory, as they say in recovery sometimes. Mm-hmm. But so I had to learn how to come from me, like not taking on projects with my friends or even the love of my life, that like I do that with clients and with coaches, and right, I bring the analysis and this, but that doesn't mean I should bring it to my spouse. And a lot of my clients, I see that's their lesson. And so I address that in the book and in the chapter, is like, how do you hold your own while still wanting to help them? Because a lot of what we call helping them is just trying to make us feel more comfortable or less afraid. And it's not good for either one of us, and it doesn't let you see what's really there with them. So making requests, noticing what's present, not taking responsibility. I used to even be willing to rage. It sounds like that's not where you went, but I was willing to kind of rage for his own good or for their own good. Like I would like make my energy bigger, and my people will thank me later. Like I did that when I was a seminar leader. I used to lead transformational programs for 100 people, and I'd use anger to like motivate them. And anger's not wrong, but it would deplete my energy, and it doesn't. To use it to make a point, I can be really emphatic, but then I want to see what you're going to bring, to require something from you, so that I'm not doing all the work in the relationship. I'm not doing all the work, even when you're paying me to hold space for you, even when I'm the one on stage that's supposed to present transformational opportunities to you, asking you to show up in a new way and do the work. So I talk about stuff like different spaces of the relationship, but mostly it's being willing to know the truth about what you're living with, like within yourself, what you're living with over there, whatever the over there is, your clients, the sister that keeps driving you nuts, whatever the relationships that challenge you. If you have somebody helping you figure out the sanity of it, like, because in our programming, you were talking, Shelly, about, Sherry, earlier, you were talking about, what was it? The imprint from childhood. That's running in every relationship. And so to sort through what's really happening here, what's really happening there, what's a sane response sort of to this, or a higher response, like what's the evolved response here within me. So that's a little bit about what I address. I mean, it's hard to say everything that's in the chapter, but do you have, like, is there more further clarification that I can provide?
I mean, I know for myself that the thing that has, I don't want to say saved me, but has really allowed me to be the real me has been one, learning to live in the moment. I mean, that's been my salvation. Because I'm an empath, I'm very sensitive to energy. So I feel energy instantaneously. And what I felt immediately from you was a complete sense of trust. I felt, you know what, she knows what I know. She's been where I've been. And I didn't know that simply from the information I read about you. I just felt that love instantaneously, you know, and that's one of the things that I've learned about myself is getting out of the way of the ego, learning that I don't have to prove myself to anybody else, that I am worthy, that I am deserving. But as I have truly and absolutely understood how to ground myself in the moment, as you have stated so many times, not to respond to whatever's showing up, not to attach to whatever is showing up, but to simply observe. And then I recognize, and no matter what is showing up, I have a choice in that moment to connect with what feels good, what feels better. And I have a way of speaking to myself and asking certain questions that will instantaneously shift me into a higher vibration, a higher feeling of good, whether it be even the little girl, letting the little girl come out and, you know, just be stupid and silly and, you know, over the top, you know, but ultimately, the one thing that is my greatest joy is meditation and connecting with the source within me. That's where I'm at right now. And I you can tell I'm sensitive as I'm saying it because I'm truly feeling the joy and the recognition of it, that it's my answer.
It's what's talking through you, if I might mirror that back.
Yes.
That joy doesn't come when we're worried about what's the right answer on our next step and like we're mentally assessing. That's a right brain joy. It's the dropping out and letting talk through you that essence of joy. It's really beautiful to behold you and to share that experience with you. And a word of caution for those of us who have so much mastery with being able to ask ourselves the questions and meditate and shift our experience is that I used it for denial for many years. Because I can be in my sessions with my clients, and really it was with friends and family members, like I can be with anything and bring an open heart.
Right.
Go take a break, meditate, right? Like shift. I can be with anything. And now I don't feel like I have to.
Right. So true.
So are we taking questions? Is that what the question is?
Yeah, so I want to mention to people at the moment that if you have any questions of Flora, please put them on the send a message panel. If you push /Q, you can ask any questions of her and it'll show up in our QE and you'll see it right there on the front. We'll answer your questions. Also, if you could tweet this out up in your upper left-hand corner, you will see that there's a little bird that says tweet. You can do that right now to invite more people to the show and ask questions in the panel. You can also post on Facebook. There is a post for Facebook. So please help the show grow and so we can continue to invite a lot of different amazing experts onto the show to answer all your questions and share with you a greater, grander idea of living life at your highest potential. So right now we don't have any more questions yet. I'm looking through here and some of the things that people have commented while we've been talking. And Mel also commented, recovering is amazing. And I mentioned to you some of the other things. And that's one of the things I wanted to, touch on for a second is I mentioned in some of the things that I've been reading here about, us not having to go through pain and suffering. Do you think that, some of the reasons that we face some of the things that we do is because of ego and fear?
I mean, well, for sure. And it doesn't always occur that way. When it's a blind spot, when it's an unconscious pattern. I like the idea that the more that we are willing to learn our lessons gently, to show up with a vulnerable, tender heart, to be emotionally connected to our life and to the people around us, and developing our sensitivity. By the way, my experience, at least with the people drawn into my realm, is that we're all empaths. And somewhere along the way, that sensitivity that led us, that we were so connected to our own and to other people's, it's almost painful, maybe not even almost, as children, when you come in and the harshness that people treat each other, even if it's not treating you that way, and to have responses that we try to be smarter and nicer, and what does life need me to be to avoid this harshness being directed at me? So I think when people say in recovery, it's like you could almost ask recovering what? And as I'm sitting with you here right now, what's occurring for me is that we're recovering this beautiful sensitivity,
That's right.
like to our own and to other people. Like I can feel you as we sit here, right? Like this sensitivity to what other people might want us to talk about as we talk, but not making it their problem, keeping responsibility here where it is, but being sensitive and being aware and being tender, and to let whatever happens to us. And some of us apparently needed, I think I had thought I got somewhere. Like I could manipulate myself into an experience of peace and calm and positivity, and bring back my open heart no matter what people were saying or doing around us. But I had still, that wasn't necessarily sensitive to my own internal tenderness. And so I think I needed the harsh lesson for sure. If I didn't need it, I'll tell you that it feels like I let, what do the Buddhists call it? Like samkaras or something like that, like the shaking for 5 hours. I went through that in childbirth. I went through that a little in one of my miscarriages about 10 years ago when I didn't think I could get pregnant again. And now I have a healthy 8-year-old. Like there's been so much that life brings that the shock of it or the trauma almost can shake off some of the old energy in the field. It can shake off some of the energetic crustiness around the heart, the protective stuff, the solidity of the thinking that is rigid in some way. And so can we learn our lessons gently? Yes. And mine seem to have gotten more and more gentle. I mean, when I hear what other people have gone through, that my husband and I got through this, and we don't know what tomorrow will bring, but I know I'm going to bring a grounded, sensitive, more checked in response to it, but that it gets gentler and gentler. And that if something lands harsh for you, that might be because that's where you need to let go, that there's some rigidity in your thinking or some rigidity in your heart. You could say if it lands harsh, you probably are rigid in some way, because otherwise it's just what people are doing or saying, and it doesn't mess with you. Like there's nothing that, it's like, oh, you feel some sadness and the sadness moves through, and then you feel some joy, and then you feel some anger, or there's some confusion to sort through something because you're not sure. So it could be that like this being willing to be tender in whatever the experience might be the access to not have harshness. Because it's always just what they're saying or doing. I find sometimes, and then it's like what they're saying or doing to you, but the resistance and that's what makes it makes it harsher. Yeah. You could say.
No, I find that, too, the feminine energy is seeking to come out more and more. And really reveal itself right now, because I have an organization called Expanded Woman. And, it's really about bringing your heart to your head instead of the head to the heart, and really opening up that soft power, that soft space in your heart, connecting with that part of yourself. Because, I'll use my dad for, an example. My dad was a multimillionaire, and he was a perfectionist. And so he brought me up with the belief that the only way to receive love and affection was to, achieve perfection in life, achieve status, achieve success. And so I had that program running. And at the same time, I was always comparing myself to others, trying to meet up to others' expectations. And then on top of that, I was programmed to rationalize, analyze, and scrutinize everything rather than what I, stepped into after my near-death experience, which was really opening myself up to the connection to good and greater good, and really surrendering at a place where I recognized truly that good and greater good was infinite. And so as I simply just connected to that higher feeling and higher feeling and higher feeling in me, it was amazing. I mean, literally amazing, sometimes within a day or the next conversation, that there'd be an avenue, a channel, or an opportunity that would reveal good and greater good.
Totally, totally. And what you're speaking to, this idea of the feminine heart being the context, it doesn't mean be stupid and illogical. Right. I mean, I can't get away from the analytical mind when I try sometimes. Right? So what your father instilled in you and what we were all taught, it's not invaluable. It's a very valid tool. And I like to honor it. Just like an experience of ego, to say, shh, it's okay, sweetheart, shh, and not like, stop it, you're bad. Just more like including whatever that experience is and soothing it and saying it's okay, but right now we're committed to following our heart. And we're going to ask you along for the ride, because what we want is an integration of left and right brain. We don't want to invalidate or dismiss the masculine or the feminine, because sometimes there's a backlash where the pendulum swings so far the other way. But the thing with the feminine is that it's very open to a multitude of energy and a multitude of experiences and emotions. And unless there's a groundedness in something deeper, right? Like in like conscious commitments from the mind, and desires that are clear from the heart, and even anchored in the sexuality and the sensuality and the softness in the body, you can get flaky, like kind of all over the place, right? Like just thrown around by other people's opinions and other people's emotions and other people's behavior. And so I noticed that Mel also said, I'm grieving and just want to shift through. And this idea of letting the grief, really feeling it and letting it move through. I speak from personal experience, and I know, I see Sherry nodding, and I know she would say, for sure, you can't really heal and emerge the other side until you feel it. Like trying to meditate out of it or positive thinking it out of it won't actually let you drop in and feel the grief. And it's one of the reasons that I shifted careers. Frankly, I never intended to stop being a lawyer. When I was going through my divorce and my mom was dying of cancer, and then of all things, then I got like I think it was stress related, like basal cell on my nose, like it was just right there. And the last straw was my dog had a big thing and needed a surgery, and I just couldn't deal with that. And I was in a high stressful litigation. I found this breathwork process. Conscious connected breathing, it's called. Back then, it used to be known as rebirthing sessions. But the work's evolved so much now, and it's so much more gentle. It's like consciousness is ready to shift in gentle ways. Like we don't even need to do circular breathing harsh. It could be one deep inhale, and we either cry, or we laugh, or we sweat, or we have to cough or blow our nose. Like the body releases the physical toxins, the emotional baggage, like in gentle ways. So for Mel and for anyone, I have to tell you, it's a phenomenal process. I was literally like, I felt like there was no sanity in my life. I was so overwhelmed, and the breath work. And I was a really accomplished lawyer at the time. Like I served on the State Bar Board of Governors. I had a great, employment law practice and contract law practice. I was starting to be a mediator. I was trying to find like a positive way to, but until I got in the body, out of the mind, and I could experience the self-pity from the divorce, like the fear and everything from my mom and all of her health issues and the unclarity in my life, Like just the breath was such a simple way to move the energy, to move the emotions, to move the grief out of the body. And I really didn't expect to do it. Then they were like, there's a 7-month training class. I was like, sure, I'll learn more. I was thinking like, learn more about it to understand what was so valuable for me. But I think intuitively, I also knew that there was something there. But then it's like, oh, if you get 100 hours, you can get your 2nd level certification. I was like, I don't know. And then I started offering it to people at church and to neighbors and family members, and people started referring. So all of a sudden I had my 100 hours. I was like, So then I started doing it for pay while being a lawyer. I did both for 6 years because I couldn't give up this thing about all this investment in myself as a lawyer and, the law school debts and the career and all but I did both for a while until I finally realized following my heart and the feminine energy was following this other career. My license is on inactive. I haven't retired it. I always thought I wanted the option. I paid a lot of money for it. So it's on inactive status, member in good standing in the Arizona State Bar. That's not what life's bringing me, right? Like, and that's not what gets my juices going, but you don't have to make a career out of it. But part of my point is that it's a very valuable process. And anyone can Google conscious connected breathing. You can come in for a session with me, either as an individual or I do parent-child stuff to clear and repattern energy. The breath work is the main staple to my energy work process. I work with couples, sisters. I've done sisters. They have a lot of energy stuck, but it's something other than just talking and analyzing, like the breath and the energy work and the guided visualization and meditation lets us get just out of the head and into reality, into the experience of what it's like to be you, and let them clear, and then you repattern and re-clear it. So I'm available for private sessions, but you can also just Google conscious connected breathing is the main part. And I've added to it. I do the being trained as a mediator, being trained as a seminar leader for Landmark Education. Like there was a lot of training I did that brought in that like I can repattern, but I also got Gestalt training. But the basic is this conscious connected breathing. And then whatever anybody can add to it, whether it's Reiki or whatever else they have, it won't just be breathing. My sessions are called transcendent healing because you're transcending from the experience of life in the body. So I would recommend that for you, Mel. It's a way of being in the feminine too, Sherry, which is the breath, the right brain, right? Not the analytical mind. And you want to honor and use the analytical mind.
Yeah, I do. You know what? I do a lot of meditation. Have you ever done laughing meditation?
I couldn't hear what kind you said.
Laughing Buddha.
Yes! Yes, you feel like an idiot at first. And then
oh my God. You know what? Listen, I'm in my 50s and I am all about living to be the real me. And I am such a playful little girl. And that when I do the laughing Buddha, my kids go crazy because they think I am just out of my mind, but it feels so good. And I am like high as a kite after. I feel so happy and playful.
Yeah, I have totally done that. I've tried so many meditation techniques, and anything that you're trying, I think anything that we do with conscious intention and awareness is going to support your awakening, your increase in your vibration, your consciousness. And for me, I find that I prefer not to preset what my experience should be, that I want to release the control of how it's going to come. If my release comes through crying, I'm open to that. If my release comes just from a wave of heat and I sweat it out, if my release comes from laughter, like I'm totally available for all of it. I just like to see like what's like without me necessarily predetermining in what form the release has to take. And I honor all the paths and all the releasing.
Mel would like to know if you can do a quick session here.
How late are we scheduled? Because I show it's 2:01. So
you can do. How long do you think it'll take you? A few minutes?
Well, one of my sessions averages 2 hours.
Oh, well, we would have to schedule another show.
But I mean, and then after people have come for a while, we can get it down to an hour and a half because they just come right in and we drop in. But I usually do like 3 or 4 layers of the onion release,
Oh,
and then
I
a
like
guided
that.
visualization so that people can get in touch with their inner wisdom. So all of that. I mean, just one layer of the onion, I could do like a sample, like a breathing meditation. It'd be a nice way to end. Do we have 10 minutes or is that too much?
Yeah, we could take 10 minutes. I mean, for those who are still on here and really want to experience it, I say let's do it. I would love to do it.
All right. Well, for those of you who are here, consider if you're here, it's no accident. Maybe you just want to gift yourself 10 minutes of an experience in your body, different than just the concepts that we've been talking about. And some of the concepts we've been talking about might have been triggering for you. Maybe not. Maybe somebody else that can benefit. But for right now, I invite everyone on this call to just take a deep breath, close your eyes. Let your awareness settle. Lower in your body, settle into your heart. Make that 18-inch journey from your head to your heart. Sigh on the exhale. Sound moves energy. Let yourself make some sound. We can't hear you.
Oh.
Then solar plexus, relax. Your diaphragm. Come into your hips and your buttocks. Bring your awareness down into your knees, inside your kneecaps. And then bring your sense experience, your felt awareness down into the nail beds of your toes. And for those of you who can go deeper than that, some of us can experience roots coming out of our toes, deep into the earth, deep and wide, at least as deep as you are tall. Let yourself feel supported by the earth, by the ground that you're standing or sitting on, by the chair maybe. Just relax. Feel what it feels like to be in a body experience. If you have any discomfort, just include it. And then begin to deepen your breathing. Through your mouth. Letting your lower belly expand with every inhale. Clearing the TMJ joint in your jaw by relaxing your mouth wide open. Nasal breathing is good to clear the mind, and here we want to get you into the emotional field. So mouth relaxed, wide open. Connecting your inhale to your exhale. Slow and deep. Surprise yourself how much you can inhale. Maybe give 3 more sips. When you think you're full, let it circulate and then sigh it out. Continuing to take connected, conscious breaths. Try to assess for yourself. If I was with you, I could assess whether your inhale might be constricted or your exhale is fearful and constricted. Whichever way is more constricted, I want you to challenge yourself a little bit past your comfort zone and exhale for 5 or even 10 more seconds past where you have breath. Get down into what singers call the reserve breath and exhale it. The body gripping might say, no, 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 I need to breathe, I need to breathe, I need to breathe. But you say when and how you breathe, not your body fear, not your nervous system's gripping. Repeat that to yourself silently as you continue to connect your inhales to your exhales. I say when and how my body breathes, not the fear gripping in my body's nervous system. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. On the exhale, you won't die, even if it feels that way. Keep going, keep exhaling past where there's any sound, past where there's any breath. And then train yourself to take a calm inhale. The body might want to gasp for that next breath. This is you teaching yourself what conscious awareness can be trusted. I say when my body breathes and how. When I'm paying attention. Train yourself, even in fear, to take that next breath calmly, inhaling, belly out, movement in the lower belly. That's where you're going to release the emotion. And there's a lot of energy that's released from the bottom of the breath. When you exhale past your comfort zone. Just keeping your eyes closed. Acknowledging yourself how much we just try to accomplish so quickly, so many things. Just feel what might have opened or shifted for you in your emotional field, in your body. At minimum, your mind should be a little calmer. Your natural breath pattern a little easier. Maybe your shoulders relaxed, your face at peace. Make the little Buddha smile from within yourself. Let the corners of your lips turn up to just feel a sense of all is well within you, even when it doesn't seem that way, even when your mind and your physical agitation is telling you different. All is well. You will get through this. It's safe to feel all my feelings. And it's such a joy to be held emotionally, sometimes even physically held while I'm feeling the scary feelings and letting them move through. So say something kind to yourself about letting yourself, whether that was weird for you or a relief for you, you let yourself drop in to a new experience for 10 minutes. And most people don't gift themselves that. Just acknowledge yourself. And I thank you deeply from the bottom of my heart to yours for whatever you've shared with us. If you're watching this in the future, for letting yourself share the energy, the intention to be conscious, to awaken from the habitual patterns and reactivity that our parents were trapped in, that society's trapped in, like right now, being present right here, right now, like you are. That's beautiful. And I acknowledge you, and I ask that you acknowledge yourself. You are so loved, and you are never alone. How you feeling, Sherry?
Oh my God, it's awesome. I feel very good. Thank you. Wow, that was amazing.
I love
all that.
Work, so thanks for giving us the extra time and letting us do
Oh my
that.
God, thank you. I mean, that was pretty amazing in 10 minutes. And you said 2.5. I can't imagine what your session is like if that's what I experienced in 10 minutes.
Well, we take our time dropping in, right? We kind of were a little violent with our drop in there, but we take our time getting in. We let 3 or 4 big layers go, and then we do the 15 or 20-minute guided visualization for your higher power to connect with your guides, with your inner guidance and compass to know what's true for you. So there's a lot more, but thanks for that.
Oh gosh, thank you. So gosh, it's just been an amazing experience. I'll have to invite you on for more additional conversations. I'd like to do a show just on all of that. That was just, I have to tell you what I felt just when I started talking to you again. I just felt like complete oneness. I mean, like literally my mouth was full of cotton too, because I was just like all of a sudden totally let go and just filled up. Is probably the best way I could say it, filled up.
One thing we could do is maybe I just do a partial session on you or a session on you on a radio show.
That's wonderful. That would be amazing. I would love it. Let's definitely talk about that further.
We could talk if we do it in person, which are most of my sessions. People fly in or whatever, but we could also just do it. I've done sessions by Skype. Look how, because you're so available, right? I could do it, absolutely do it by you via the lab.
Oh, it's awesome. And we both live in Arizona.
Right. So we could do it in person. I'm just saying either way would work with you. I'm clear because you're so responsive. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. Ooh, yeah, I feel good. Okay, so let's go ahead and share, just a parting message with our viewers and where they can go to find out more about you. And we have a gift that's being offered from you, which we are very grateful, on wholelifeliving.com. So go ahead. Oh, Mel said, I would love one on Skype too. Lovely. Can I have your website page? So go ahead and tell everybody how they can connect further with you and really experience this magnificence that you are.
Sure. My website is breathelifenow.com. And then, Sherry, when we said we would provide a free gift for people listening on this show, do you have the link? Are you going to post that?
So the link is on the front page at wholelifeliving.com. If you go to wholelifeliving.com, Flora is right there on the front page with her interview for today. It also will have a replay of this interview instantaneously. That's the beauty of live streaming technology today, is that you can revisit this experience that she shared with us today, which I am thoroughly impressed by. And also all of the information for the contact to purchase her book, the link to that is on her page, and the gift that she is graciously offering. Tell us a little bit about that gift that you're offering the viewers.
I recorded a video. Like, some people who are drawn to this topic really need to know, stay or go, stay or go, stay or go, or they need to make some kind of decision. I'm not going to go. I'm going to use it to change and grow. And so I recorded a video for just for the radio show listeners called Stay or Go in Relationship. And I think it's like 6 or 8 minutes, but it's really dealing with that so you can feel into it. I'm available. Obviously, you can reach out to me for support. A lot of what I've been doing since even before, but since the poop hit the fan in my life, a lot of what came to me was holding people's hands through some kind of betrayal. Sometimes it's like my manager stole money out of our business. Like, it doesn't have to be marital, but the experience of betrayal or confusion or stopped in relationship, I'm available. Sometimes people just need a coaching call or a Skype session, or they need to move energy by Skype or in person, or I work with their relationship, or I come to their home and I just completely clear their home and their space and their relationship set. So you can find that on my website at breathelifenow.com. If you come to purchase the book and the website, just because you're one of Sherry's listeners, put in radio show, all lowercase. I'll type that in here, radio show, and it'll give you the discount where it's just $15 and we'll eat the shipping, and just basically, right, covering the publication costs. And it has all the other people, Hiram Smith and Sandra. See, you can download Awakening Through Infidelity off of, it's the Kindle book. It's only $2.99. So there's no discount on that, but I thank you for purchasing it if you do, if you support the message. But so the free video and the discounted book is part of the deal for showing up and supporting Sherry and me and today. And this, even if you're watching it later on recorded, that's available to you too. I'm going to keep that special page up for Sherry's listeners on our website.
Awesome. Well, once again, I want to thank all of you for joining us here today on the Whole Life Living Show. I'm Sherry Gideons. I'm an international speaker, life mastery coach, author, and I'm a retired pro bodybuilder. And I'm helping people of all ages discover their own greatness and to live extraordinary lives. You can visit and learn more about me on sherrygideons.com. And to view the future shows for the following weeks, you can visit wholelifeliving.com. Once again, visit wholelifeliving.com to view all of the things that Flora is offering us today. Her page will be on the front page of wholelifeliving.com, where you can reach out to purchase her book, and her free gift is available there. The link to her free gift is available on her page. It tells more about her, and you can also visit the replay of this show today to re-experience the amazing awe and just sense of connectedness and peace that I felt from this experience that she shared with us today. So thank you again so much, Flora, and we'll see you all next week. Bye now.
Thank you.